for the last little bit of trig, we're going to look at law of cosines. So we just did law of sines, and if you have that golden ratio, you can do law of sines. For law of cosines, it's when we don't have that golden ratio. Okay, so law of cosines, I have 3 stars here because there's technically 3 different formulas, but you don't really have to memorize all 3 because they're the same variation of each other, right? But law of cosines says that if I'm looking for A, remember little a is side A, so a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cosine of big A. Oh, that's crazy formula, right? But the biggest thing here is if I have side A, I end with angle A. And then it's going to be the same pattern where I have BC, BC. The 2 is always there. It's always plus, then minus. So then the second option is if I'm looking for side B, right? Then b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. Same formula. It's just the biggest thing is whatever side you start with is the angle you end with, and your other sides go in between. So then the last one, we could say c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine big C. So those are just the 3 different ways of writing it, but it's the same thing. So don't stress over it. You can just pay attention to the first one. All right. So for these 2, for both of them, I'm going to have to draw a triangle because it gives us a description instead of a triangle. So again, any old triangle. And I'm going to label it DEF. Okay, now I'm purposely drawing them kind of rough because I don't want you to stress over what your triangle looks like. Just draw a triangle. It's there just to help guide you so you can see where everything is. It's not there to show you exactly what the angle is going to look like. Okay, so I got triangle DEF. Little d is 8, so that's across from big D. Little e is 10, so that's across from big E. And then little f is 14, so that's my third side over here. I'm looking for angle D. Okay, so for this one, right, because I'm looking for angle D, right, I'm going to end with a cosine D. That means I have to start with side D. So I just start with little d over there. So we're going to say, let's write it out. We'll say d squared equals e squared plus f squared minus 2ef cosine angle D. Okay, start with a side, end with that angle, plug in the other sides in between. So then I can say that 8 squared equals 10 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 10 times 14 cosine, and I don't know what angle D is, so I leave it as a letter. Okay. 8 squared is 64, right? You could type all this stuff in the calculator, well, to help simplify, right? 10 squared is 100, 14 squared is 196. If I add those, I get 296, right? Minus 10 times 14 is 140, times 2 is 280, and then cosine angle D. Okay, now I'm just slowly getting D by itself. So I'm going to subtract 296, all right? So 64, I'm going to cheat, use my calculator. 64 minus 296 is negative 232 equals negative 280. I got to get rid of that 280. All right, so I'm not even going to simplify that yet. It does not matter. I just know that it's going to be a positive because I have 2 negatives. So I'm down here. And just like before with law of sines, if I'm looking for an angle, I have to cancel out that cosine. So I'm going to take the inverse cosine of both sides. Okay, and that's going to get rid of the cosine to isolate the angle. So then I'm just going to type that into the calculator. So we're going to go second cosine, and then 232 divided by 280, and we get 34.04 or 05. So angle D is 34.05 degrees. All right, for number 2, gotta draw my triangle. And we got ABC. Okay, so little a is 11, little c is 9, and angle B is 68. Okay. So for this one, I don't have a golden ratio because I have the 68 and that's it, and I don't have the opposite side, and I don't know what those two angles are, and I can't figure them out quickly. So this one is another one where I can't use law of sines, so we're going to use law of cosines. Because I'm looking for side B, B is going to start my formula. All right, so then I have my other side, so we got A and B minus 2, C, goodness gracious, minus 2AC times cosine of big B, because whatever side I start with is the angle that I have to end with, right? And then I can start plugging in. So I'm looking for B, so it's going to be B squared, right? A is 11, C is 9, minus 2 times 11 times 9, cosine, and then big B is 68, right? Now, here's the best part. If you're looking for a side with law of cosines, right? Like over here, I was looking for an angle, so I couldn't do it here. But over here, I'm looking for a side. I can just plug it in the calculator. To get B by itself, I have to square root both sides. So now I'm going to type this whole thing into the calculator. I don't have to do anything else. So, come back to my calculator. It's a big one. So, second x squared to get to my square root. And we have 11 squared minus 9 squared minus 2 times 11 times 9 times cosine 68. Literally writing in exactly how I have it written there. And then, I typed something in wrong. Might have. Oh, there it is. Plus. There we go. So we get 11.31 or 11.3 for side B. Alright, so if you have that golden ratio, you can use law of sines, which is a little bit quicker sometimes. If you're looking for a side like this, that's pretty quick once you get it plugged in. But this is a little bit ugly. We're doing some algebra. So if you have that golden ratio, you can do law of sines. If you don't, you can try law of cosines.